Hello, my friends. Welcome to Let's Talk Herbs. We'll be seeing each other once a week at this time every week, so I welcome you to this introduction today. I'm Cindy, and I'm an herbalist. You've probably seen me around the senior center. And today we're going to talk about why we would care about using herbs during this novel coronavirus pandemic. This is a webcast using herbs to assist us during this time. There are herbs that can help and herbs that you can get that don't require you're going to a doctor. First, let's talk about the stages of disease. There's the prevention stage. That's very important. And there you can address your needs with herbs and with foods and with culinary herbs. We'll talk about that part of the disease process today, the prevention stage. Then there's the acute stage if prevention hasn't prevented the illness and you find yourself sick with the sore throat and the symptoms that you've heard about and read about with this virus. And then there's the recovery phase. How do you address this stage after you're beginning to recover from this virus? And then again, at the end, there's prevention. Then how do you prevent this from happening again? So today we're going to talk about the prevention stage. Many of you have probably heard of elderberry. Elderberry is an herb that we can use in various ways. You can use the leaves, you can use the roots, but usually we use the berries, and you can harvest them ripe, but it's much easier to use them in the dried state. You can get that online, and we'll talk about where you can get these things online. CVS, Walgreens, places like that have products made from elderberry. You may have seen them. One of them has a brand name of Sambuca. Another is Sambucol, and those are helpful. I prefer to actually use the dried berries, and the reason for that is, first, it's more effective. Second, you can use more of it. Third, it's cheaper. So if it's available, it's cheaper, it's more effective. I like that. Also, what I'm going to tell you about today is using elderberry in a way that's also delicious. I'm going to tell you how to make a syrup from it. And when you make the syrup from it, you can use it on your pancakes or put a spoonful of it in your tea. It's really delicious. You can get the recipe for this after the fact by going to a website called Izzy Cooking. And that's IZZY cooking.com. And there it says to begin with 4 ounces of the dried berries. Now, what I do is I buy a pound of the berries at a time. I want to tell you that I looked today to see if it's available and how much it is, and yes, it is available. Sometimes if we go to Walmart or CVS or places like that, these things may not be available, but it is available. I checked today, and for a whole pound of it, it's only $11.91 at starwestbotanicals.com. STARWEST Botanicals, BOTANICALS.com. $11.91. You can't beat that. So now the syrup is, I mentioned you take 4 ounces of the dried berries, and then what you're going to do is put them in a pot, add water, and cook it for a certain period of time. Again, you can get that recipe where I mentioned it at izzycooking.com. And then strain the berries out, add honey. You can also add cinnamon in the cooking phase, and you can also add ginger, which makes it delicious. In that recipe, it calls for doing it that way. You can have it without. You can also make it without the honey, although honey in and of itself if it's natural honey particularly, has its own health-giving properties to it, and it really does make a delicious syrup. I love using it. So once you have the syrup, how much of it should you use and how do you use it? Well, I keep it in the refrigerator after I make it. It rarely lasts 3 months in the refrigerator because I use it before that time, but it will last that long. I use a teaspoon in my tea. If I have pancakes, I use a couple of tablespoons. I put a tablespoon or 2 in oatmeal. You can pour it over cereal, add it to your milk. It's really delicious. It's in the apple family, and it's really very good tasting. You can see behind me on the shelves here, I have quite a few tinctures. Now, what is a tincture? A tincture is an extract of the herb that is preserved in a number of different ways. You can make it with apple cider vinegar. You can make it in vodka, which is what I do because it extracts the most constituents from the herb in that way, and then it'll last forever, or as forever as any of us is, 10 years at least. You can make it with glycerin, and that of course is very sweet. Kids like that. They love the syrup too, that I told you about. The tincture. You can also make it as a tea. If you prefer not to use any recipe or make a tincture, the procedure for which I can tell you about the next time we meet. The tea is available in a tea bag or loose. One source that I found it in today was at Buddha Teas, and their website is Buddha, B as in boy, UDDHATEAS.com, Buddha Teas. So you can order that. Traditional Medicinals has it also. That's traditionalmedicinals.com. You can also get it from another place that I trust very much. Traditional Medicinals you can often get right in the grocery store. I prefer to use herbs one at a time and not in combination. That way I know exactly how it's affecting me and how it's affecting the clients. If it's a combination, I'm never sure which herb is really doing having the most benefit. So you can make it as a tea and then steep it. If you use the dried berries to make tea, what I recommend is putting about 2 tablespoons in 2 cups of water in the pot and simmer that for 5 to 10 minutes, then drain it off and add honey or whatever else you want. That is much more beneficial than using it in the tea bags, because the tea bags is a very small quantity and it's been sitting on the shelf for, could be a long time. So you can see I prefer getting the actual herb. But the tea, if that's what you want to use, is easier and it's available. In the recovery stage and the acute stage, elderberry is also effective. Let me tell you about the qualities of elderberry that make it so beneficial in the prevention stage. First, elderberry increases antioxidant levels in the body. And of course, that helps to fight cancer and disease at the same time. It is specifically antiviral, effective against colds and the flu. And because this coronavirus is a virus, it can help with that too. I have not had COVID-19, so I haven't used it that way, but it's effective against other coronaviruses, of which both the flu and colds are examples of coronaviruses. This is called novel coronavirus because it's a new one. Elderberry also fights inflammation. There is inflammation that occurs in the body due to COVID-19 infection. It decreases mucus production. So as COVID-19 affects the bronchial tubes and the lungs. Decreasing mucus production is a very positive thing. So for all of these reasons, I highly recommend elderberry. Now let's talk about where you can get these supplies. I mentioned a website for the recipe. I mentioned a website to get tea bags. To get the dried berries, I also mentioned starwestbotanicals.com, and the price for a pound, $11.91. In many of these sources, you can get just 1 ounce or 4 ounces at a time, depending on what you want to do. But I like to have a supply of it on hand. Another place where you can get it that I really trust is a website called mountainroseherbs.com. Mountain Herbs, HERBS.com. mountainroseherbs.com. And a third place where you can get the dried, you can't get the dried herb, you can get a tincture, which is actually the most effective way to use this herb. If you would rather buy a tincture, you can get that at herbfarm.com. Now the spelling of this is a little different. It's HERB-PHARM.com. Their prices are approximately $12 or $15 per ounce, and then there is shipping. But you can look for that at Amazon. If you have Amazon Prime, obviously you won't pay for shipping. I don't know if it's available. I haven't checked that. I make the tea, I make the syrup, I make the tincture as well. That is my sign for my business. If you want to look for more information that I have posted online, there's no cost for any of this, obviously. This is information that I provide as a service. You can search in Facebook under 3H Herbs, HERBS, LLC. 3H Herbs, LLC. And that stands for Head, Heart, and Hands, because you have to have the knowledge, you have to care about it, and you have to provide it. So that's what I aim to do. Please visit us next week for another episode in Talking About Herbs. Thank you so much. This is where we end.